Welcome to The Explainer. So glad you're joining us, because today we are unraveling one of the most fascinating front office masterclasses happening in the league right now. We're zeroing in on the San Antonio Spurs and a strategy that, honestly, on the surface, it feels entirely counterintuitive. It involves keeping a highly paid, underperforming star right when the entire basketball world is literally screaming for a trade. It's a crazy story of numbers, timing, and absolute tactical patience. Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the central mystery we're unpacking today. Why keep a $50 million backup? We've got a former All-Star, De'Aaron Fox, coming off a disastrous 2026 playoff run. His trade value is widely considered to be at rock bottom, right? And yet, the Spurs are slated to pay him around $50 million next season. So why on earth would a title-contending, incredibly analytically driven front office willingly hold on to what looks like a wildly expensive backup? Well, to understand the genius of the move, we've got to first understand the disaster that preceded it.
Which brings us to Section 1, the finals flop.
The public consensus right now is basically screaming for San Antonio to cut their losses and trade Fox immediately. And looking at the numbers, it's pretty easy to see why. Just 2 years ago, Fox had that elite pedigree, a 25-point-per-game scoring machine for the Sacramento Kings. But fast forward to the 2026 playoffs, where the Spurs made that deep run all the way to the finals against the Knicks, Fox's shooting splits, man, they were an absolute eyesore. 41.4% from the field and a dismal 29.4% from three-point range. He struggled mightily against the Thunder in the Western Conference Finals, and he was virtually a non-factor against New York. So his trade value isn't just low right now, it is in the basement. Selling him now would mean attaching valuable draft picks just to move him.
But, to really understand those terrible numbers, we have to look at the context. It wasn't just some sudden, mysterious loss of talent. His dramatic drop in speed and burst last season was due to a relentless string of injuries. It was brutal. He started the campaign late because of a right hamstring injury. Then, he underwent surgery to repair a torn tendon in his left pinky in March. And then, the kicker, during the Western Conference Finals, severe right ankle soreness cost him games 1 and 2 against Oklahoma City. He was just never right. And trying to evaluate his future based on a hobbled playoff run, that's a trap the Spurs front office flat out refuses to fall into.
Moving on to Section 2, a strategic financial luxury. While the fans are out there panicking, the Spurs front office is totally calm. They recognize Fox isn't some untradeable albatross, he has a strategic financial luxury. Just brace yourselves for this number, though. $49.8 million. That's Fox's massive salary for next year, kicking off a 4-year, $229 million extension. Now, in a vacuum, paying almost $50 million to a guy who might not even start for you seems like roster-building malpractice, right? But the NBA salary cap doesn't operate in a vacuum.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the flip side of the ledger. Victor Wembanyama, Dylan Harper, and Stephon Castle, arguably the 3 absolute most important players on the Spurs roster right now, are going to make less than $40 million combined next year. Think about that. Because San Antonio nailed the draft so effectively, their core is entirely on these incredibly cheap rookie-scale contracts.
And because of those cheap rookie deals, the Spurs are actually a staggering $44 million below the luxury tax line. They are well beneath both cap aprons. They literally don't need cap space right now. So, in this incredibly unique financial window, Fox's $50 million contract isn't actually hurting their ability to build a team. It's a completely affordable luxury that they can easily digest without sacrificing any of their core pieces.
And if you look ahead at the timeline, the timing is kind of perfect. Wemby's massive $251 million extension doesn't even hit the books until the 2027-28 season. Castle's second contract starts in 2028-29, Harper's doesn't kick in until 2029-30. So hey, even if Fox stayed for the entirety of his 4-year deal, which, let's be real, is highly unlikely, his max money would only overlap with Harper's max money for a single season, and that's 3 years from now. In the NBA, 3 years is an absolute eternity. The money just simply isn't the problem everyone assumes it is.
Let's jump into Section 3, buying backcourt insurance.
The reality here is that the Spurs are in title or bust mode right now. And if you're trying to win a championship, you absolutely must protect your ambitions from the injury bug. You can't just assume your starting backcourt is going to magically play 82 games in a full playoff slate. I actually want to bring you back to Game 2 of the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder. It perfectly illustrates why depth is absolutely necessary. De'Aaron Fox sat out that game with his ankle issue, so rookie Dylan Harper started in his place. Then, out of nowhere in the third quarter, Harper goes down with a leg injury. Just like that, the Spurs were down 2 elite point guards in a critical playoff game. You literally cannot have too many playable ball handlers in the modern NBA.
This philosophy of aggressive insurance totally explains their recent free agency move. The Spurs just signed veteran guard Jordan McLaughlin to a one-year, $3.3 million deal to fill their 14th roster spot. It's a cheap, highly familiar insurance policy. He already knows head coach Mitch Johnson's system inside and out, and he doesn't require a lot of usage to be effective.
But the absolutely crucial point here is what McLaughlin brings when he actually does play. He shot an incredibly impressive 42.5% from three-point range last year. He provides steady, low-mistake decision-making, and he does it without disrupting the floor spacing for Wemby and the young stars. Basically, he's the emergency glass you break when injuries hit, leaving Fox, Harper, and Castle to handle all the heavy lifting.
Which leads us to Section 4, solving the rotation puzzle.
But, all this heavy lifting presents a very real tactical dilemma, managing egos on a title-contending roster. When everyone is fully healthy, someone's ego is inevitably going to have to take a back seat. ESPN reported recently that while the Spurs are outwardly committed to Fox as the starter, Dylan Harper's camp is starting to make some noise. And frankly, they should be. Harper was the number 2 overall pick, he played brilliantly, and he is primed to be the Kobe to Wemby's Shaq for the next decade. Keeping him on the bench behind Fox, that's going to create some serious impending locker room tension. Harper rightfully wants, and honestly probably deserves, to start.
Let's move to and see how this builds. When you map this out, it creates a really fascinating depth chart. You've got Harper and Castle representing the future, and likely the primary starting options. Then you have De'Aaron Fox, a guy who literally averaged 25 points a game just a couple of seasons ago, and Jordan McLaughlin coming off the bench. Having this kind of depth is such a luxury. By staggering their minutes, the Spurs can ensure they almost always have 2 elite guards on the floor at any given time during a 48-minute game.
To solve this logjam, the Spurs are likely going to use some three-guard lineups, but the real genius tactical adjustment here is shifting De'Aaron Fox into a Manu Ginobili-esque sixth-man role. I mean, think about it. A speedy, lefty playmaker with starter chops who comes off the bench to absolutely detonate second units for the good of a championship run? It's perfect. Plus, last year Fox spent way too much time off ball because the rookies were struggling with their shooting early on. By bringing Fox off the bench, the Spurs can put the ball back in his hands, returning him to his comfort zone with way more on-ball reps where his pick-and-roll magic can really shine.
And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate long-term goal of keeping him right now. By retaining Fox, letting his body fully heal, and optimizing his role as a super sub where he completely commands the offense, the Spurs are setting him up for a massive bounce-back season. If Fox can return to averaging 20-plus points per game, the narrative shifts completely. The Spurs rehabilitate his trade value from rock bottom back to a premium asset, paving the exact way for a potential blockbuster deal down the line when they actually need his cap space.
So we're left with a truly fascinating question to watch this season. Is a healthy, fully optimized De'Aaron Fox the final piece of the Spurs title puzzle right now? Or is he simply the most luxurious, $50 million placeholder in NBA history, just waiting to be flipped for future assets? It's a masterclass in asset management and patience. You've got to keep a close eye on San Antonio's rotations this season. It's going to tell us everything we need to know. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer today. I can't wait to see how this all unfolds on the court.